This is the intro to tank review, tank review. This is the intro to a tank review, tank review. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an OK Players review of the famous or infamous, if you're German, T29, the Tier 4, battle rating 6.7, American Premium. If you want this tank, you'll have to say goodbye to 40 of your hard-earned dollars. I don't know how much that is in euros. I'm sure you can figure it out. This tank has been criticized a lot for apparently being too OP, according to German Tiger 2 commanders. And I can kind of see their point. I can definitely see their point because it is a very good tank. I'm not gonna lie. I like it. I do very well in it. In fact, I have a replay coming up in which I get 9 kills. Not the greatest of gameplay, but again, I'm not a fucking Unicum. I'm not Quickie Baby equivalent in War Thunder. I am merely an okay-ish tank commander and an okay pilot. These are my thoughts on it. I've had it for a while. I really like it. It's helped me grind through most of the shit in the American tank tree. So yeah, I like it. One thing to note whenever you're driving this tank, something that you're gonna encounter is Tiger 2s and Panthers, and those two are going to be your worst enemies. The Tiger 2 especially, because it's every bit as good as you are, and it's just such a. I think they're the best of rivals. They're both very similar. They have a very similar play style. They both have great guns. They both have great armor. They both have good mobility when you consider they're heavy tanks, especially the Tiger 2 Slaw. So yeah, let's take a look at the Tiger 2 and the Panther 2 and the Ferdinand and the Yak Tiger, as these are the German opponents that you'll be facing the most. Alright, so this is the Tiger 2. This is actually my Tiger 2 Slaw, which is, again, a very good. If you guys like this video, I'll make another review about this one. It's probably my favorite tank in the game. Tiger 2. This is probably your worst enemy. That's okay though. If you shoot it right here, your shell will pen and you will kill it. Avoid this because this is an auto bounce. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've bounced off of this and became angry. Another weak spot that the Tiger has is this huge Commander's Cupola. This is probably the weakest place on the front of a Tiger, and if the Tiger Commander you're facing is any good, he's going to be hiding this. He's going to be hull down, and he's going to be angling his turret when he shoots, after he shoots, or when you're shooting at it. Something like that, yes. It gets the idea across, I think. This is a Panther 2. Panther 2, you can pretty much pen it from any distance with the T29. Same with the Tiger. If you hit this gun mantlet thingy, it's gonna bounce, and you're gonna be mad, and you're gonna be pissed. This upper glacis 2 is sort of a weak spot. If you're at a higher elevation than he is, you're gonna be able to pen it. But if you're at the same and he's angled, you might not be able to pen it. Lower glacis, again, weak spot. Turret, sides. This is basically paper if you're shooting at it with a T29's gun. Alright, so this is the Ferdinand. This is going to give you a bit of trouble if you do not know what you're doing. So, if you want to pen up Ferdinand's top glacis, I don't know what this is called. If you want to pen it here, you need the APCR. You cannot pen it with the APCBC. You can pen here with the APCBC, but the engine, as you can see, is behind and is going to be protecting these 4 little guys over here. They're not going to die if you shoot it here. You'll set it on fire, but he's going to be still be able to shoot. And this is a long 88. This is the worst gun for you. This is bad news for you. If you see this gun, no. Make it stop firing as soon as you can. Finally, the German Yak Tiger. This is battle rating 7.0. You will be facing these a lot. Probably a third of the battles you play are you're gonna be facing these, and you cannot pen this huge slab of metal. The best way to try to deal with these, I find, and bear in mind I am only an okay player, I'm not a great player, immobilize it and then get around it if you can. If it's at a very long range, just try to avoid it, because even the APCR shot, if you hit this flat side, you're still gonna have problems because it's not really flat. It's angled back a little bit, and if the guy is angled a little bit, yeah, good luck. This is a nightmare. And the gun, oh, the gun. I'm not even gonna talk about the gun actually. Right, so this is the T44-100. This is gonna be giving you trouble if you're playing the T29. It is a battle rating 7, just like the Yak Tiger, but you will be, again, you will be facing these a lot. The turret in this tank is actually very bouncy. It is only 110 and 120 at the cheeks. But it is very well rounded. So you do have to be careful. If you have a side shot, don't go for this side, go for the turret first. Make it stop firing first. Finally, the only other tank on the Russian tree that is going to be giving you problems is the IS-2. Mainly the later IS-2 with the very nicely sloped frontal armor. These are actually fairly easy to take out in my experience. Just shoot the turret cheeks. Make sure you hit somewhere near the middle when it's not where it's nice and flat. As you can see, there's only 3 people in the turret, and if you take them out, yeah, it'll die fairly quickly. You can one-shot it pretty reliably in my experience. So you might be thinking, oh, why is it going to be giving me problems? Well, because of Stalin's great big phallic weapon of doom over here, the 122. This is a very good gun, and it carries a lot of explosives. And even though the T29 has very good survivability, if this hits you, yeah, you're not in for a great time. Oh fuck! Completely forgot about my T. Alright, so now I want to move on to the T29's pros and cons. I made a little list. I made a little list, everyone. I think that I really like about the T29's 105mm gun is that the shells, all the shells, are kind of useful. If you're a Tiger II player, you know that the only shell that you ever use is a Panzer Grenade 39. You use one shell, it's good for long range, it's good for short range, it's got a lot of explosives in it. It's the only shell you use. I usually load up 18 shots of it. I don't even load HE or APCR, you never need it. It's just a great shell. The T29, however, has 3 shells, and again, they all have a good use. First off, the APCBC. This is a great shell. It has a lot of explosive packed in it. As you can see, it has good penetration. This is usually enough to deal with anything you may face. It should be noted that the muzzle velocity on it is actually really rather poor. Luckily, for long range, you can switch to the T32 shell, which doesn't have any explosives in it. It's a solid shot. However, it is quite useful for dealing against rounded or sloped surfaces, mainly on Russian tanks, but yeah. Finally, the APCR. This has a good muzzle velocity, it has good penetration, and it should be reserved for dealing with Yak Tigers only. I don't know why I'm speaking like this. Another good quality the T29 has is its armor. It's actually quite good for its tier. The only things that are going to be giving you problems actually are the 100mm guns of the Russians, the 122s, and the German 88. Very unluckily for you, this is pretty much exclusively what you're gonna face, but it can deal with it. It can bounce shots from all those guns at times. It can block shots at long ranges. So the armor in general is actually quite good. Another good aspect of it is its survivability. You can actually take a couple of shots, sometimes even more, and get away with it. So it's noob friendly, let's just put it that way. Something worth noting is that if you angle your turret a little bit to the left, you'll be able to cover the loader and the aimer. And as long as you're hold down, you're going to be giving your enemies quite a lot of trouble pinning you. Oh yeah, it also has good gun depression. Now, as I said before, this is a very good tank, but it is not perfect. It is not overpowered in the slightest. It does have a couple weaknesses. The most annoying one of which, in my opinion, is the reload rate. It usually takes about 13 to 12 seconds to reload a shell, and if you lost the loader, well, good luck. There's no way you're going to be beating the reload of the German 88. Now, as I said before, this is a good tank, but it is not perfect. One of the major weaknesses that it has, in my opinion, is its reload rate. It's actually very long, about 13 seconds, and about 12 if, you know, your crew is up to par. It's a big tank. It's really easy to hit from long ranges, which is actually a very bad problem since the Tiger II is way better at it with its long 88 at long ranges and its small weak spots. That brings me to another problem that it has. It has a lot of weak spots. At long range, the big gun mantlet, it's quite easy to hit. If your turret is angled a little bit, the side of the turret is actually very weak. Although it can bounce some shots sometimes, it won't do it reliably, so don't depend on it. Another big weak spot that it has is its commander's cupola, just like the Tiger II. If you're at a higher elevation than this, another weak spot is this tiny little sliver of flat armor just behind the gun mantlet. It is actually quite easy to hit with the long 88. Another weak spot is the lower glacis, and also this little machine gun port turret. I don't know what this is called, but this is actually quite easy to hit. It will sometimes bounce because Gaijin and, you know, math, but this is actually a reliable weak spot for it. So again, just put it hold down, let them see your turret, and let them shoot at your gun mantlet all they want. Something to note is that the turret traverse is not quite as good as the Tiger II's, although the vertical guidance might be a little bit better than the Tiger II's. It's not that much better. Yet another thing is that the side armor is made out of paper, especially the back. I don't know why it's thicker at the front and thinner at the back, but if you angle even just a little bit, people can pen you. They can go through these rollers for the tracks and go straight through the armor. So don't really rely on angling it too much. If you angle a little bit, the tracks can eat the shot sometimes, but you know, angling is not recommended. You may have noticed that I keep on comparing this tank to the Tiger II, and that is because the playstyle of these tanks is very similar. I think this is probably the only tank that can reliably face the Tiger II and come out on top, provided that the tank commanders are of equal level of skill. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the T29. If you have $40 burning a hole in your pocket, this is not a bad way to spend that money at all. It's very good. I do recommend it. As you can tell, I quite like it. So yeah, let me know if you like this video, subscribe or whatever, and yeah, go fuck yourself.